The stars outside the window looked peaceful. Captain Kang Taiho stood on the bridge of his ship, the Starward Hope, and watched them shine. He had been a trader for 15 years. He knew every route, every station, and every rule of space travel. He was a careful man, a patient man. And today, that patience would be tested like never before. "Captain, we are entering Torak space," said Choi Hana from her station. She was young, only 23 years old, with bright eyes full of hope. She had joined the crew 6 months ago, eager to see the galaxy. Taiho sometimes worried that the galaxy would break her spirit. "Send our clearance codes," Taiho said calmly. "We have permission to pass through. The medical supplies must reach the colony on time." Park Yuna looked up from her engineering console. She was older than Hana, with sharp eyes and hands that could fix anything. "Captain, I am picking up a ship on sensors. It is big. Torak military." Taiho felt his stomach tighten, but he did not show it. "We have done nothing wrong. Our documents are perfect." Lee Hyuk stood near the door, his arms crossed. He was the security chief, a former soldier with scars on his face and deeper scars in his mind. He said nothing, but his eyes grew cold. The Torak warship appeared on the main screen. It was massive, covered in weapons, designed to make other species feel small and afraid. A voice came through the communication system. It was rough and filled with contempt. "Human vessel, stop your engines. Prepare to be boarded." Hannah's hands shook slightly. "Captain, should I respond?" "Tell them we are stopping," Taiho said. "And remind them we have legal permission to be here." The message was sent. The Torak did not care. Within minutes, armed soldiers marched onto the Starward Hope. They were tall creatures with gray skin and 4 arms. Their leader was Commander Bellix, an officer known throughout this sector for his cruelty. He looked at Taiho the way a person looks at an insect. "Human," Bellix said, his voice dripping with amusement. "What are you carrying?" "Medical supplies," Taiho answered steadily. "For the colony at Varan Station. We have all the proper documents." Bellix took the tablet from Taiho's hand. He looked at it for exactly 2 seconds, then threw it on the ground. "These documents are fake." "They are not fake. They were approved by your own trade office." Bellix stepped closer. He was a full head taller than Taiho. "Are you calling me a liar, human?" The bridge went silent. Yuna's hands curled into fists. Hyuk's body tensed like a spring ready to snap. Hannah held her breath. Taiho forced himself to stay calm. "I am saying there must be a mistake." "The only mistake," Bellix said slowly, "is that your weak species thinks it can fly through our space." He turned to his soldiers. "Take everything. The cargo belongs to the Dominion now. That cargo will save lives," Taiho said, his voice rising slightly. "There are sick children waiting for those medicines." Bellix laughed. It was an ugly sound. "Then they will die. What do I care about human children?" The soldiers moved through the ship like a storm. They took everything. The medical supplies, the food, the spare parts Yuna had spent months collecting. They even took personal items from the cruise rooms. When they were done, the Starward Hope was empty, but Bellix was not finished. "Kneel," he said to Taiho. The word hung in the air like poison. "What?" Taiho whispered. "You heard me, human. Kneel and apologize for wasting my time. Do it now, or I will kill your crew one by one, starting with the young female." He pointed at Hana. Her face went white. Yuna stepped forward. "Captain, don't. Quiet," Taiho said softly. He looked at his crew. Yuna, who had been with him for 10 years. Hyuk, who had survived 3 wars. Hana, who still believed the universe was beautiful. He could not let them die for his pride. Slowly, Kang Taiho lowered himself to his knees. "Say it," Belix commanded. "Say you are sorry for being a worthless human." Taiho's jaw was tight. His hands trembled. But he spoke the words. "I am sorry." Belix pulled out a small device and recorded everything. This will be very popular on Torak entertainment channels. The galaxy will see how humans grovel. The soldiers laughed as they left. The airlock closed behind them. The warship flew away, leaving the Starward Hope drifting in the cold silence of space. For a long moment, no one moved. No one spoke. Then Hannah began to cry. Soft, quiet tears rolled down her face. She had believed that if you followed the rules and treated others with respect, you would be treated the same way. Today, she learned that was a lie. Yuna knelt beside Taiho and helped him stand. Her eyes were wet, but her voice was steady. "You did what you had to do." Hyuk walked to the window and stared at the stars. His reflection showed a face made of stone. "How much longer?" he asked quietly. "How much longer do we endure this?" Taiho straightened his uniform. His body felt heavy. His heart felt heavier. But somewhere deep inside, something was changing. A wall that had held back years of anger was beginning to crack. "Until we cannot anymore," he said. Hyuk turned to look at him. "And then?" Taiho did not answer. He walked to the captain's chair and sat down. He looked at the empty cargo hold on the monitor. He thought about the sick children who would not receive their medicine. He thought about his crew's stolen belongings. He thought about kneeling on his own ship, in front of his own people. And for the first time in 15 years, Captain Kan Taiho allowed himself to feel something other than patience. He felt rage. The Starward Hope limped back to human space like a wounded animal. It took them 3 weeks without proper supplies. They rationed food. They fixed broken systems with whatever they could find. When they finally docked at Haven Station, the crew looked like ghosts. Taiho expected help. He expected someone to care about what happened to them. He went to the station commander and told his story. He went to the Trade Council and showed them his records. He even sent a formal complaint to the Galactic Council, the organization that was supposed to protect all species. Nothing happened. The station commander shook his head sadly. "The Torak are powerful, Captain. We cannot challenge them over one cargo." The Trade Council offered sympathy, but no action. "These things happen in their territory. Perhaps you should avoid that route in the future." The Galactic Council did not even respond. Taiho sat alone in a small bar on Haven Station, staring at a drink he had not touched. He felt lost. He played by the rules his entire life. He had believed that fairness and hard work would be rewarded. Now he understood the truth. In this galaxy, the strong took what they wanted, and the weak suffered. Park Yuna found him there. She sat across from him and placed a tablet on the table. "You need to see this," she said. Tae-ho looked at the screen. It showed reports from dozens of human ships. Cargo stolen. Crews beaten. Ships destroyed. The dates went back over a year. "This is not random," Yuna said quietly. "The Torak are targeting us specifically. They are testing how much we will accept before we fight back." "Why?" Taiho asked. "Because they think we are weak. They think we are cowards who will never resist. Every time we bow our heads and accept their cruelty, they become bolder." Taiho scrolled through the reports. He saw names he recognized. Friends, colleagues, good people who have been robbed, humiliated, or killed simply for being human. "The other species do not help us," he said bitterly. "No, to them we are young and unimportant. If we disappeared tomorrow, the galaxy would not notice." Something cold settled in Taiho's chest. It was not fear. It was not sadness. It was a kind of clarity he had never felt before. "Then we must make them notice," he said. Yuna nodded slowly. I was hoping you would say that. Over the next few days, Taiho began reaching out to other human captains. He met them in secret, in back rooms and private channels. He found that many felt as he did. They were tired of being victims. They were tired of waiting for help that would never come. Lee Hyuk reconnected with old friends from his military days. These were hard men and women who knew how to fight. They had retired to peaceful lives, but peace had been stolen from them. Now they were ready to remember their training. Yuna worked on the Starbound Hope in secret. She installed hidden weapons. She upgraded the shields. She created devices that could disable enemy ships without destroying them. When she was done, the old freighter looked the same on the outside, but inside it had become something dangerous. Choi Hannah watched all of this with wide eyes. She was scared, but she did not run away. The girl who had cried on the bridge was growing up fast. Captain, she asked one night, are we really going to fight the Torak? Taiho looked at her for a long moment. Do you think we should? Hannah thought about it. She remembered the soldiers laughing as they took her things. She remembered watching her captain kneel. She remembered the recording that was probably still playing on Torak entertainment channels, making humans look like jokes. Yes, she said firmly. I think we should. During this time, Taiho met someone unexpected. His name was Elder Morris, and he belonged to a species called the Selvani. Once, the Selvani had been a proud people with their own planet and their own culture. Then the Torak came. Morris was old now, with tired eyes and trembling hands. He lived as a refugee, hiding on stations where no one asked questions. When he heard about what happened to Taiho, he asked to meet. They sat together in a quiet corner of the station. Morris spoke softly, but his words carried great weight. 50 years ago, my people tried patience, he said. We believed that if we were kind and reasonable, the Torak would treat us fairly. We were wrong. What happened? Taiho asked. They took our planet. They killed millions of us. Those who survived became slaves. Our children grow up serving Torak masters, never knowing freedom. Morris leaned forward. Do not make our mistake, Captain. Submission does not satisfy creatures like the Torak. It only makes them hungry for more. Taiho felt the weight of those words settle on his shoulders. What do you suggest? Fight, Morris said simply. Fight while you still can. Fight before they take everything from you. And when you fight, do not stop until they understand that humans are not prey. Taiho stood and offered his hand to the old alien. Thank you, Elder. I will remember your words. Morris shook his hand gently. I hope one day my people will find the courage you are finding now. Perhaps watching humans stand up will inspire us. That night, Taiho called a meeting of all the human captains who had joined his network. There were 47 of them now from all corners of human space. They appeared on screens around his small room, their faces serious and determined. The Torak believe we are weak, Taiho said. They believe we will accept any insult, any theft, any murder. They broadcast our humiliation for entertainment. They think we will never fight back. He paused and looked at each face. It is time to prove them wrong. The captains nodded. Some smiled grimly. All of them understood what this meant. There would be no going back. In his quarters later, Hana found Taiho staring out the window at the stars. What are we planning? She asked. Taiho turned to face her. The patient, careful man she had first met was still there, but now there was something else in his eyes. Something hard. Something dangerous. We are done kneeling, he said. 3 months passed. 3 months of planning, training, and waiting. 3 months of pretending everything was normal while preparing for war. The Starbound Hope entered Torak space again on a cold morning in the galactic calendar. On paper, it was just another trade mission. The cargo hold was filled with machine parts, completely legal and properly documented. Everything looked exactly as it had before. Commander Bellix was delighted when he saw the human ship on his sensors. He remembered Kang Taiho very well. The recording of the human captain kneeling had made Bellix famous throughout the Dominion. He had watched it many times, laughing each time. "The same ship," Bellix said to his crew. "The same pathetic human. This will be entertaining." His warship moved to intercept. The standard message was sent, ordering the humans to stop and prepare for boarding. Bellix expected quick obedience. He expected fear. He was about to be surprised. On the starboard hope, Taiho watched the Torak warship approach. His hands were steady. His heartbeat was calm. He had prepared for this moment for 90 days. "They are sending a message, Captain," Hana said. Her voice was different now, harder. The innocent girl was gone. "Let me hear it." Bellix's voice filled the bridge, dripping with the same contempt as before. "Human vessel, stop your engines. Prepare to be boarded and inspected. I hope you remember the procedure, Captain. On your knees this time." The Torak crew laughed in the background. Taiho pressed the communication button. "Commander Bellix, I remember you very well, but today will be different. Different. How so?" "Today, I am not going to kneel." There was a pause. Then Bellix laughed louder than before. "You are brave today, human. Let us see how brave you are when my soldiers are pointing weapons at your crew." The docking procedure began. The Torak warship connected to the Starward Hope. Airlock doors opened. 20 Torak soldiers marched onto the human vessel, weapons ready. Bellix himself came aboard, eager to personally humiliate Taiho again. They found the bridge empty. Bellix frowned. "Where are they hiding?" "Find them." His soldiers spread through the ship. They checked every room, every corridor. The ship seemed deserted. Then Li Hyuk stepped out of the shadows. He moved faster than any Torak had ever seen a human move. The first soldier fell before he could raise his weapon. The second followed a heartbeat later. Hyuk was not alone. From hidden panels and secret compartments, human crew members appeared. They were not merchants anymore. They were fighters. The battle lasted 4 minutes. When it was over, every Torak soldier was on the ground. Some were dead. Others were unconscious. Bellix found himself on his knees, Hyuk's boot on his chest, and a weapon aimed at his face. "How does it feel?" Hyuk asked quietly. "Being on your knees?" Taiho walked onto the bridge. He looked down at Bellix without emotion. "I told you today would be different." Bellix's eyes were wide with shock. "This is impossible. You are humans. You are weak. You do not fight." "We did not fight," Taiho corrected him. Past tense. That has changed. At that exact moment, across Torak space, 46 other human ships revealed their true nature. They had been hiding in different sectors, waiting for the signal. Now they struck. Military stations exploded. Supply depots burned. Communication arrays went dark. Park Yuna's special devices sent waves of energy that disabled Torak warships, leaving them drifting helplessly in space. Weapons that the Torak did not know existed tore through their defenses. The attacks were fast and coordinated. Humans had studied Torak tactics for months. They knew exactly where to hit and when. By the time Torak commanders understood what was happening, it was already over. In 1 hour, humanity had destroyed more Torak military assets than any species had managed in decades. On the Starward Hope, Yuna worked at her console with fierce concentration. "Captain, their main communication hub is down. Their fleet cannot coordinate." "Good." Taiho turned to Hana. "Open a channel. All frequencies. I want every Torak to hear this." Hana nodded and pressed the controls. "Channel open, Captain." Taiho faced the camera. Behind him, Commander Bellix was forced to kneel in the same position he had once forced Taiho into. The image would be broadcast across the entire Dominion. "People of the Torak Dominion," Taiho began, his voice clear and strong. "For years, you have attacked our ships, stolen our cargo, beaten our people, killed our friends. You recorded our humiliation and called it entertainment." He paused, letting the words sink in. "You believed that because we did not fight back, we could not fight back. You confused patience with weakness. You thought we were prey. You were wrong." In the background, screens showed footage of burning Tarak stations and disabled warships. Every insult we remembered. Every theft we recorded. Every death we mourned. And while you laughed at us, we prepared. Today is the result of your arrogance. Taiho stepped closer to the camera. "This is not the end. This is the beginning. You have two choices now. You can apologize for your crimes and treat humanity with respect. Or you can continue to fight us." His eyes grew cold. "But know this. If you choose war, we will not stop. We will not surrender. We will not kneel again. You will learn what happens when patient people lose their patience." He turned to Hana. "End transmission." The screen went dark. Bellix stared up at Taiho, his arrogance finally broken. "What have you done?" he whispered. "You have no idea what the Dominion will do to your species." Taiho looked down at him calmly. "Perhaps. But whatever comes next, at least we will face it standing. That is more than I can say for you." Hyuk pulled Bellix to his feet. "What do we do with him, Captain?" Taiho considered for a moment. "Put him in an escape pod and send him home. Let him tell his masters what happened here. Let him be the one to explain how humans are no longer afraid." As the escape pod launched, Yuna stood beside Taiho at the window. "There is no going back now," she said. Taiho nodded. "I know. Are you scared?" He thought about the question. He thought about the years of patience, the years of humiliation, the years of hoping things would get better on their own. "No," he said finally. "For the first time in a long time, I feel free." Overlord Viren sat on his throne and watched the recordings with cold eyes. The human captain's message played again and again on screens throughout his palace. His advisors stood in silence, afraid to speak. 47 ships, Viren said slowly. 47 human trading vessels did this much damage to my dominion. "Overlord," one advisor said carefully. "We should consider. I know what we should do." Ving stood up, his forearms spreading wide. "We will crush them. Send the Third Fleet to human space. Destroy their stations. Burn their colonies. Remind the galaxy what happens to species who challenge the Torak." The Third Fleet was massive. 200 warships, each one built for destruction. It was the same fleet that had conquered the Selvani 50 years ago. It had never lost a battle. Commander Bellix had told Viren everything about his capture. He described how the humans had fought, how they had prepared, how they had shown no fear. Viren had listened, then dismissed it all. Humans were small. Humans were young. Humans would break like every other species. The Third Fleet entered human space, expecting easy victory. They found something else entirely. The first battle happened at a small station called New Sol. The Torak expected the humans to flee. Instead, 3 human destroyers moved to block their path. 3 against 200. It seemed like suicide. The Torak commander ordered his ships to destroy them quickly. As the Torak fleet moved forward, the human ships accelerated directly toward the flagship. "What are they doing?" the commander asked. He got his answer seconds later. The human destroyers did not stop. They did not turn. They crashed directly into the flagship at full speed. The explosion was enormous. When the light faded, the flagship and 12 surrounding ships were gone. The Torak stared in horror. No species had ever done this. No species valued victory over their own survival so completely. "They are insane," the commander whispered. But the humans were not insane. They simply understood something the Torak did not. Some things are worth dying for. Freedom is one of them. The war continued. Park Yuna created a virus that spread through Torak computer systems. Ships that had been hunting humans suddenly found their weapons offline, their engines dead, their communications silent. They floated helplessly while human vessels picked them apart. Lee Hyuk trained teams of fighters who struck without warning. They would appear in a Torak base, destroy critical systems, and vanish before reinforcements arrived. The Torak called them ghosts. They called themselves the Patient Ones, a reminder of what had been taken from them. Humans did not fight like other species. They did not follow predictable patterns. They did not retreat when they were outnumbered. They adapted. They learned. They found new ways to hurt their enemies. Every time the Torak thought they understood human tactics, the humans changed everything. But the most frightening thing about humans was simpler than tactics. It was their refusal to stop. Other species eventually surrendered when war became too costly. They accepted defeat and moved on. Humans did not surrender. They did not accept defeat. Every loss made them angrier. Every dead friend fueled their determination. Overlord Viren sent message after message offering peace terms. The terms were generous by Torak standards. Humans would simply need to accept Torak authority and pay tribute. Most species would have agreed immediately. Captain Taiho's response was short. "Return what you stole. Apologize for your crimes. Treat us as equals. Until then, we fight." Viren could not understand. Why will they not accept reasonable terms? He demanded of his advisors that no one had an answer. Finally, the oldest advisor spoke. "Overlord, I believe I understand. We made them hate us. We humiliated them not for strategy, but for entertainment. We laughed at their suffering. And humans, it seems, do not forget such things. All species can be broken," Viren insisted. "Perhaps. But perhaps some species become more dangerous the more you try to break them." The war entered its 6th month. The Torak Dominion was suffering. The economy was collapsing. Military losses were mounting. And something worse was happening. Other species were watching. They saw the mighty Torak struggle against the young humans. They saw that resistance was possible. And in quiet corners of the Dominion, slaves began to whisper to each other. Elder Morris received a message from his people, still living under Torak rule. For the first time in 50 years, Sylvani were resisting. They were sabotaging Torak factories. They were hiding escaped prisoners. They were remembering how to be free. "The humans have given us hope," Morris told Taiho when they met again. "For 50 years, we believed resistance was impossible. Now we know it is not." Similar stories came from other enslaved species. The Torak Dominion was burning from inside and outside at the same time. Choi Hana worked beside Taiho every day now. She was no longer the girl who had cried on the bridge. She had become a woman who understood the true cost of freedom. "Captain," she said one day, "we have received reports from 12 different Torak sectors. Their population is demanding the Overlord end the war. There are protests, riots. Some military units are refusing to fight." Taiho nodded slowly. "They are discovering what we already knew. Cruelty is easy when your victim cannot fight back. When the victim rises, everything changes. Do you think they will surrender? I think their empire will fall apart before they can surrender. We did not just start a war, Hana. We lit a fire that has spread to every corner of their dominion." Yuna joined them, exhaustion in her eyes but satisfaction in her smile. "Our latest virus just took down their central banking system. Their economy will collapse within weeks. Hugh appeared on the screen, reporting from a captured Torak station. The soldiers here surrendered without fighting. They said they do not want to die for an empire that cannot win. Taiho looked at his team. These people had been simple traders once. Now they were warriors. The galaxy had forced this change upon them. Overlord Vion still does not understand, Taiho said quietly. He thinks this is about territory or resources. He does not see that this is about something deeper. What is it about? Hannah asked. Tae Ho looked out at the stars. Dignity. The right to be treated as equals. The right to stand tall instead of kneel. These things have no price. And when you try to take them from people, you create enemies who will never stop fighting. The Torak Dominion had ruled through fear for 1,000 years. Now, for the first time, they were the ones who were afraid. The Torak Dominion did not surrender. It simply fell apart. Overlord Viren was removed from power by his own generals after the economy collapsed completely. The generals tried to continue the war, but their soldiers refused to fight. The slaves they had oppressed for centuries rose up across every sector. The mighty empire that had terrorized the galaxy for 1,000 years crumbled in less than a year. What remained was chaos. Dozens of small territories formed from the broken pieces. The Selvani reclaimed their home world for the first time in 50 years. Other enslaved species found freedom they had only dreamed about. The galaxy was changing. Through all of this, humanity watched and waited. They had won, but victory brought new responsibilities. Captain Kang Taiho stood before the Galactic Council for the first time. This was the same organization that had ignored humanity's pleas for help. The same species that had called humans young and unimportant now sat in silence, watching him with fear and respect. The chamber was enormous, filled with representatives from hundreds of worlds. Some had helped the Torak. Some had simply looked away while humans suffered. All of them were wondering what humanity would do next. Taiho took a deep breath and began to speak. 1 year ago, I stood on my own ship and was forced to kneel. I was forced to apologize for existing. My cargo was stolen. My crew was threatened. And when I came to this council for help, you did nothing. The representatives shifted uncomfortably. I do not say this to blame you. I say this because you need to understand why we fought. We did not want war. We wanted to trade, explore, and live in peace. We hoped the galaxy would treat us as equals. When it did not, we had two choices. Accept slavery or fight for freedom. He paused, looking around the chamber. We chose freedom, and we paid for that choice with blood. Human blood, Torak blood, and the blood of many innocent people caught between us. War is never clean. It is never simple. Every death weighs on my conscience, even the deaths of our enemies. Taiho walked to the center of the chamber. Now the Torak Dominion is gone. Some of you expect us to take their place. You think we will become the new empire, the new oppressor. You are wrong. He pressed a button, and Choi Hannah appeared on screens throughout the chamber. She began distributing documents to every representative. These are our proposed treaties, Taiho continued. They are fair. They ask for nothing more than what we offered before the war. Equal treatment. Free trade. Mutual respect. We do not want territory. We do not want tribute. We do not want slaves. The representatives looked at the documents with surprise. They had expected demands. They had expected punishment. They found partnership instead. However, Taiho's voice grew harder. There is a warning attached. Humanity has learned a lesson we will never forget. Patience is a virtue, but it has limits. We will extend friendship to any species that treats us with respect. We will offer help to those in need. We will work toward peace. His eyes swept across the chamber. But if any species mistakes our kindness for weakness again, if any species decides to prey upon humanity or our allies, we will respond. And we will not stop until the threat is ended. This is not a threat. It is a promise. The chamber was completely silent. One representative, an older creature from a species that had remained neutral during the war, stood slowly. Captain Taiho, I must ask. The Torak tortured your people for years. They humiliated you personally. How can you offer peace instead of revenge? Taiho considered the question carefully before answering, because revenge would make us like them. We did not fight to become new monsters. We fought so that no one would treat us like prey again. Punishing the Torak now would not bring back the dead or heal the wounded. It would only continue this cycle of hatred. He smiled slightly. Besides, the Torak have already lost everything that mattered to them. Their empire is gone. Their reputation is destroyed. The species they enslaved are free. Making them suffer more would not help anyone. The Galactic Council voted to accept humanity's treaties. The vote was unanimous. In the months that followed, the galaxy slowly transformed. Humans helped rebuild worlds damaged by the war. Park Yuna led teams that restored infrastructure destroyed by her own viruses. Li Hyuk trained security forces for species that had never been able to defend themselves. The skills used for war were now used for peace. Elder Morris visited Taiho one last time before returning to the Sylvani home world. They sat together in the same small room where they had first met, back when the future seemed dark and hopeless. You have changed everything, Morris said. For 1,000 years, the galaxy was ruled by fear. The strong crushed the weak, and everyone accepted it as natural. You showed us another way. We just refused to accept things as they were, Taiho said. That is exactly what changed everything. Morris reached out and took Taiho's hand. My people will never forget what humans taught us. Patience is not weakness. And when patient people finally stand up, nothing can stop them. Choi Hana found Taiho later, standing at a window watching ships come and go. She was a leader now, responsible for the new human diplomatic corps. The young girl who had cried on the bridge had become someone important. Captain, she said, the Sylvani are asking for human advisors to help them rebuild their government. The former Torak slaves want us to train their military. Everyone wants our help. Taiho nodded slowly. We will help where we can. But we must be careful not to replace one empire with another. They must learn to be free on their own terms. Do you think they will? I think watching us stand up gave them courage. Now they need to find their own strength. He turned to face her. That is the real victory, Hana, not the battles we won, not the empire we destroyed. The real victory is knowing that the galaxy will never be the same. Years passed. Humans became respected members of the galactic community, not because they were feared, but because they had proven that strength and mercy could exist together. New species entering the galaxy heard stories of the human Torak War. The stories were told differently depending on who told them, but one lesson was always the same. Humans will offer friendship first. They will be patient longer than you expect. They will try to solve problems with words instead of weapons. They will give you every chance to treat them with respect. But if you push them too far, if you mistake their patience for weakness, if you force them to fight, then pray to whatever gods you believe in. Because when humans lose their patience, no species in the galaxy can handle the trouble that follows.